I'm going to do a quick run through to show you how to put together and use the Wicked Edge so that you can start using it to try to sharpen your own knives. So when you take it out of the carry case, which is what it will be put away in the read room, one of these black cases, you are going to have the base. This is the main part that you're going to need, and it has a few things in it we'll talk about too. And then the vise, this is what holds your knife in place. There's 2 screws on this side. This is the screw that will anchor it to the base. You'll have a C-clamp and an extra set of paddles and the leather straps. Oh, and also some alcohol swabs for cleaning. So the first thing you're going to do is pull this out of the back. This is what you use to tighten and loosen all the screws. And on the front right here, these are the metal rods that you put the paddles on to sharpen your knife. So just slide that in to push them out the other end. And you'll also need to use this to push the set of paddles out that's stored inside the base. You can get the first one out with your fingers, but then you'll need something longer to push the second one through. Once you have everything out, you can clamp it down to the table, just line it up with the edge and put the C-clamp on it. Right in the middle. Then you're going to take your vise. If you are left-handed, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's easiest to have the screws on the right side if you're right-handed and on the left side if you're left-handed. So line it up accordingly. I'm going to put these screws on the right side, and that means the screw that screws it into the base will be on the left. Then you're going to take the metal poles you pulled out of the front and screw them into this twisty turny thing on the base, one on each side. And there your Wicked Edge is set up. So the next part you're going to do is put your knife into the vise. When you're loosening it, you always want to loosen the bottom screw first. When you're tightening, you tighten the top screw first. So you just have to, you loosen it just enough to get your knife to slide into it. And when you're putting your knife in, you want it to grab the square spine right on the edge. You don't want it to go onto the slanted part of the knife, or else it's not going to have a good grip. It will slide around. So just right here on the square spine in the middle of the knife. So top screw tightened first, now the bottom screw. The bottom screw doesn't actually go through the other side, just the top screw does, you can see right there. The bottom screw just pushes the bottom out, so it holds it evenly all the way up. If you don't tighten the bottom screw, it's a lot easier for your knife to slide out while you're sharpening it. So now you have your knife in. Next you need to set the angle, and these little knobs right here, there's one on each side, loosen this part with the rod attached and slide back and forth so you can adjust the angle. There's some numbers printed on the front that will give you a rough idea of what the angle is, but you always want to use this angle gauge to make sure you're getting the exact right angle for your knife. So these are the paddles, and they have diamond stones on them, starting at 400 grit, just like a sandpaper grit or the India stone grit. So this one is 400 on the yellow, 600 on the green, and then the other set is 800 on the blue and 1,000 on the purple side. And you can't really tell on the camera, but once you are holding them in person, you'll be able to see and feel that this one is much finer than this one. So we're going to start with the rough ones. Put it on the metal rods. And to measure the angle, first you just set the stone gently against your knife so it's balanced. Then you're going to take this angle gauge, and the way this works is you put it on a flat surface and push the 0 button, and then it'll be measuring everything from where you zeroed it out. So as you turn it, no, it's not doing anything. As you turn it to the side, it'll tell you how many degrees from wherever that flat point was you're measuring. So for the left side, we are first going to turn it, the angle gauge, on its left side, put it on the table, and then zero it out from there. So it's going to be measuring from this starting point. Then it's magnetic, so it'll stick to the diamond stone. Set it against your knife. And you want the starting angle on the left side to be 21 degrees. So move this back and forth until it says 21. It's a little finicky, might take you a minute to get it. And then once it's on 21, tighten it. Oh, that's not right. There we go. Okay, now the other side. So now you're going to take the angle gauge, turn it on the right side, put it on the table, and push 0. If when you put it on here, you're getting numbers that say like 100 something, it just means you turned it the wrong direction when you zeroed it out. So try resetting it and try again. And the right side is going to be 23 degrees. So 21 on the left, 23 on the right. If you are left-handed, reverse it. So it's 23 on the left and 21 on the right. Okay, now your angle's set up and you're ready to go. The first thing you want to do is set the burr on your knife. So you're starting with the left side, and take the stone, make sure it is flat against the knife. It doesn't really matter how fast you go. As you get better at it, you'll get faster. But first you just want to start with it flat, move it up and down in a scrubbing motion to make sure it stays, sorry, that didn't make sense. You're moving it up and down in a scrubbing motion. Go slow at first to make sure it stays flat against the knife so you don't get chatter on your knife where you don't want it. All right, here we go. If you run your finger up the side, when you first start, it probably feels really smooth. So the goal here is to get the burr to be curving that direction. So you're going to scrub until you run your finger up the side and you can feel a little catch at the top of your knife. If there's no catch, you got to keep going. Do some more. Okay, once you have a burr on the right side of your knife, so it catches on your finger just a little bit as you go up the side, now you're going to do the same thing on the right side, scrubbing up and down, keep it flat until you can feel a little catch on the top of the knife on the left side. Alright, now I have my burr on that side. Next, what we're going to do is the sharpening stage. So again, we're going to start with the yellow 400 grit. And this time, you're going to start at the back and keeping it flat still against the knife blade. Go up and out towards the front on both sides. So you do the left side, then the right side, up and out. And one on each side of the set. You're going to do 25 sets on the yellow grit, 25 with the green 600. Then we're going to switch paddles, do 25 with the blue 800 grit, 25 with the purple 1000 grit. And once you've done all that, then it switches a little bit for the leather straps. Okay, at this point, if you carefully, so you don't cut yourself, feel the top of your knife, it should feel pretty sharp all the way down and back. Don't slide your finger, you'll cut yourself. That would be ouchy. So by now you probably have quite a bit of knife and diamond stone dust gathered up on your blade. And we don't want that to get on the leather straps. So now you need to find an alcohol swab. There should be some in the read room, and we're gonna get more down there soon. So grab an alcohol swab, use it to kind of clean off your fingers too, because they're nice and dusty. And the blade of your knife, the handle right next to it, and the top of the vise where it's gonna be close to the leather straps. The goal is to keep the leather as clean as possible. As much as I've tried to clean my knife, like as good as I possibly can before using them, my leather straps have still gotten some knife and diamond stone dust on them. So, they're gonna get a little dirty, but we want to keep them as clean as we can. So you have that switched, pull diamond stones off. And each of the leather straps is stored in its own plastic bag because there is a diamond paste on each side that's a different micron level. These ones are measured in, I'm pretty sure that unit is microns. So you don't want to cross-contaminate the other side. So this side, the green, is 3.5 microns, and the yellow side over here is 5 microns. So these are opposite of grit. You want to start with the higher number, end with the lower number. You can think about using the micrometer, a 90 measurement on the micrometer is much bigger than a 30 measurement on the micrometer. So smaller numbers, thinner. That's what you want to end with. So, I'm gonna put them back on the metal rods. Start with the 5 or the yellow side. And same thing, you're gonna do 25 on each side, but this time you need to be very careful not to cut the leather. So, I find it easiest to still do the same motion of starting in the back, go up and forward. But if it's easier for you to have a different motion so that you're more cautious with the leather, you can also start at the front and go up and back. Whichever way is going to keep you most aware of what you're doing so that you don't cut the leather. That's the way you should do it. So we're going to do 25 on the 5 micron side, which has the yellow diamond paste on it. Done with the yellow diamond paste side. Now we're going to take another alcohol swab, wipe it off so we don't get that on the other side. Now we're going to use the green side, flip them over, and again 25 on each side. Okay, that's it for the leather straps. Now again, very carefully so don't cut yourself. If you feel the top, it should feel very nice and sharp all the way down. Wicked sharp. So now we're going to loosen it to take the knife off. Loosen the bottom screw first. And the top screw last. Hold your knife so it doesn't fall out of there once the screw's loosened. I've done that before. It's a terrifying moment trying to catch your knife. Now test it on your thumbnail, see how it's feeling. If it doesn't feel evenly sharp all the way up, that's okay. The first couple times I tried the Wicked Edge, I wasn't very good at getting an even sharpen all the way up. So just be aware of which parts of your knife don't feel as sharp. For me, it was the tip. I didn't get the tip as sharp as the rest of it. So the next time I sharpened, I just did a couple extra passes just on the very tip of it to make sure I had sharpened it evenly all the way up and down. Also with the scrubbing at the beginning, make sure that the little catch the burr is even all the way up and down the knife. You can just do more right on that one spot where it's not quite as grippy. And then also that scrubbing part at the beginning, if you have a knife that is bowed, that's where you can just scrub until the blade is evened out again and you get rid of the bow. So now if you have a burnishing rod, or you can use the sword one that's in the reed room that has the green handle, how I use it is you put it at an angle on your leg or on the table or something and pull the knife across and towards you. This one's a little bit thicker or wider, taller, bigger of an angle. If you're thinking about the nickel and dime, this would be like the nickel coming towards you and the dime going away from you, a little bit smaller of an angle. And do it a couple times on each side, towards you, away from you. And that'll help set the burr so it really gets grippy on the cane. And then at this point it should be feeling very nice and sharp. If it's not, some knives have a harder time with Wicked Edge than others, or if it's the first time ever using it, it might take longer to get the angle of using the Wicked Edge really set on your knife. Once you have the angle set on your knife, you don't necessarily have to go all the way back to the yellow 400 grit every time you sharpen. If you're consistent and sharpen like once a week, you can just use the higher grit paddles just to touch it up, and then the burnishing, or the leather strops and the burnishing rod to set the burr, and you'll be good to go. If you only sharpen every once in a while, you'll probably need to go back to the yellow 400 grit every time. So that's a good incentive to keep your knife sharp. Happy sharpening!